Why, hi there, it's Uncle Ron, and welcome to the second week of COVID, where instead of doing some live streams, we're going to go just answer some questions, show off some stuff, and other things that we wouldn't normally do over the course of the week. And our friend Mike asked, as a show topic for Digital to Dice, whether we would talk about, choosing what to stream and choosing what to play off stream. And for me, the answer, I don't think we can get a whole half hour out of it. So I'm just going to answer for me, and I'll tell you what I think it is for Dave. Um, for me, there's a couple long-term projects over the course of the year and some one-offs. And I think it depends on, well, first of all, you're supposed to have fun with it and interacting with you and what I think makes for an entertaining stream and what you want to follow. And so I think for me, it's kind of like if you went to Delphi, the forums at Delphi or the Facebook groups that allow replays such as sports simulations and replay in some degree to digital dice, and what you want to share. And so as far as the streaming element is, what can I cram into an hour or an hour and a half that we can share together? And I have noticed that what's most successful for me as a streamer, certainly a baseball season, and Action PC does that quite well. Um, a baseball project and a football project, and break it up with some other stuff over the course of the year. Um, the baseball is always the most entertaining one for me because that is my favorite sport. And I think you're going to come across as more genuine, or you should come across as genuine anyway. But I think you relate better to something that you really truly enjoy in a live experience. Now, understand that most of the people who watch you do this are going to watch you on tape, and they're going to skip back and forth and yada, yada, yada. But at least you know that, look, I showed off 75, 80, 90, 95 games over a long-term project, and you saw everything that I did. You don't go back and edit anything out or stuff like that. It goes as it goes. But for me, I consider that work. It is my work time. I get paid to do it. I don't get paid a ton to do it. It's not asking you for more money, but it would be just like if I sat there and wrote for a website or anything else like that. It is work time. And so, but you want to enjoy what you do for work. And so there's that aspect of it. And so spending that 3 to 5 hours a week sharing something that we all enjoy, and a lot of the people who watch our stuff aren't necessarily ones that play the games. They want that nostalgia kick or want to be able to talk about whatever it was from a certain year or whatever they think about the sport now. I mean, it's a combination of things. And so, for me, why Action PC Baseball works for that is I don't have to explain any of the mechanics. I can look over and interact with the people who want to watch this stuff live with me and play the game, give you something to look at, and have fun with all at the same time. I mean, if you're familiar with what I broadcast on my channel, there are people there, there's always some sort of sub story going on, and that's the point. Football, I'm not as much of a football fan. We've tried a few seasons. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for this fall for that, but I get a different audience that wants to watch me play football. And the good stuff from today and the bad stuff from today, and we're remembering when, and I remember when A, B, and C happened. And of course, in any live stream, you get talking about, the conversation turns to whatever people are on that mind today. So sometimes it's football and a baseball, or baseball and a football, or hockey, or whatever it is that people want to get their mind off of real world type things. And again, it needs to be easy and not easy, entertaining enough that I can do what I do, show you what I do, but also interact with you guys at the same time. So again, Action PC is good for that. Pro Strategy Football is good for that because it gives you something to look at, and and it makes it just easy for all of us to interact together. And we've tried a number of other things. Personally, I would love to do more golf and tennis and horse racing on the channel. I don't think horse racing does all that well live, and I've seen the numbers for the golf and the tennis, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's nice. Thanks for doing that. When's the next baseball game? Just because they are niche sports to begin with, and they can take their time to do it, and all that. And for some things, especially golf, when you need to be able to use probably more brain power to actually play the round of golf than you do the other two sports, because you got to plot your shot, get your club and all that. As opposed to football, you pretty much know when the play is over. You got an idea in your head what you're going to do on the next play. And in tennis, especially a shot-by-shot game like time travel tennis, you're trying to go shot by shot and keep your concentration on one to actually implement whatever strategy you go there. And again, when you commit to a project, it's got to be fun for you to share. I tried doing some soccer at one point on an off season, and for baseball, and it didn't draw very well. And if you know that people aren't going to watch, then it kind of kills the project for you to want to do. It doesn't mean that it was bad. It just means that it just didn't really click with people, or didn't click with people at that time, or whether it was the subject matter or the way that I did it, or for any variety of reasons. I mean, everything kind of has to flow together to make a broadcast that sounds good. And of course, there are other people who do a better job at certain sports. I mean, Dave Gardner is very good at doing hockey on, streaming hockey games, whether it's Stratomatic or Action PC. Al Red Sox fan, of course, is the guru of Pro Strategy Football, him and Mike from the Truck and Chris Slovic. And of course, no one calls a fight quite like Al. And so you want to defer to those who do a better job at calling certain sports than you do, because they're going to make it more entertaining, because it means more to them. That they have more of an inside knowledge that can offer something besides, here's a dice roll and here's the punch. And of course, when you do like a high action sport such as, a close hockey game or a fight or a horse race, it tears up your throat pretty gosh darn quick, because you can't do horse racing like golf. I mean, Tiger Woods with a 4-iron in his hand, he's got 165. You gotta learn how to pace yourself through it, and you can't call a horse race and now Secretariat's got now a 4-length lead as he makes the turn. Doesn't quite work that way. So again, one of those things over trial and error, as we've been doing this for 4.5 years, or almost 4 years now, is you gotta know what your audience wants. And knowing what your audience wants and trying to find something that's a mix that meets your own personal satisfaction. It has to be fun for everybody. If it feels grueling to you, if people aren't reacting, if they aren't watching, then projects don't tend to get finished that way. That's how I choose it anyway. Now, picking things that I play just for me, that depends. I try not to do too many projects at the same time, but on the other hand, I have a lot of different projects that I kind of go back and forth on. I try to only keep it to 1 or 2 projects per sport, because if you do more than that, you're just going to get lost and you aren't going to enjoy anything. Remember, maybe 1% of the community in total talks about what they play on an open forum, whether it's at Strat or Delphi for APA or Tabletop Sports, or streams anything live on Twitch or on tape delay or live on YouTube. The amount of people who actually show you what they're playing, I think overall is very, very limited. Because again, one of the tough things is when you go to produce something, whether you're writing it for a Delphi forum or a Facebook group, or pulling out the camera and doing that, what are you getting out of the deal? And what's your always helps, to keep the screen moving. And what's your audience going to get out of the deal as far as that's concerned? Because you want that kind of feedback to keep going with the project. Because let's face it, all projects have their ups and their downs, where they get a bunch of blowouts, or the team that you're doing is not doing well, or yada yada yada. There's got to be a reason for you to keep pumping out that content, but you can't keep pumping out content for just for the sake of pumping out content. That's not going to work. Quantity doesn't get you anywhere. Quality gets you there. Know what your limits are. And so, what do I choose to play offline? Most of what I play is offline. Now, there are times that that I've started to do at certain milestone moments in a replay. I'll go through and do a video on stats and results and all that, but they're played at my pace on when I feel like playing them, and I get a great deal of enjoyment. I know when I'm going to be alone for a chunk of time. It gives me a chance to learn a game and not have to feel the pressure of going, okay, I promised I would do this. And sometimes you get frustrated at the game, and sometimes you just want to restart the gosh darn thing because you're not getting your own enjoyment out of it. And if you don't enjoy it, then it's going to show through whether or not to stream it. And again, you don't. Sometimes you just paint or do pottery or read a book just for your own enjoyment. You're telling yourself a story. That's important too. Don't rush out to make sure that you show the world everything that you play, because if then you're doing that, then all you're doing is trying to please people. And really, in the end, the only person you got to please is yourself. And so, projects, we all have a gazillion projects in mind, and we probably have attempted half of them. And also, sometimes projects don't work because you lose interest in it, or you don't necessarily like the game engine, or the results aren't what you think they're going to be, or the game flaws become too apparent, and you just can't get over those, or it wasn't what you quite think, or I think words sometimes are hard. It isn't quite what you thought the project was going to be. You're not getting the satisfaction out of it that, this is a good thing. And so it gives me a chance to experiment with a lot of different things. So if I do decide, I think this might go well on the channel, then boom, you've got experience, you know how it goes, you know how to want to present it, and that. I think that some things just don't stream very well. I don't think that pure cards and dice is something that streams very well. But again, for me, I get a lot of satisfaction out of playing a cards and dice game. It is immersive. And it's just like taking your favorite book and reading it, or your favorite author. And instead of trying to figure out who did it on the Orient Express, or stopping that explosion at the dam just in the nick of time, you're trying to see if Larry Bird can hit that extra free throw, or if Babe Ruth can hit that extra home run, or you get that extra win to get you that much further. Remember, you play games to enjoy them. And so a grand majority of what gets played is never seen by anybody, or written up on Delphi or anyplace else. Always good to get. And there are some people on Delphi and the individual game forums who are just tremendous. And they sell games. But they're familiar with what they do enough that they're comfortable with playing the game, and with the expectation that because they love it, that love of their game goes through and just kind of goes on, and you read about it. And sometimes that leads to more game sales. But they are going to play those games regardless. I've tried writing a few replays up from games I've played. Then you spend more time trying to be cute and writing about what you did than actually playing the gosh darn game. That's time that's taken away from the project at hand. And so, no, there are 4 or 5, I think like 5 or 6 things going on offline that I just kind of alternate through. And some days I'm in a mood for hockey, and some days I'm in a mood for football, and some days I'm in a mood for tennis, and some days I'm in a mood for other baseball, and on and on and on it goes. Plus, because of the show, Dave and I look at other games and try to play them, and some of them work out great, and some of them may end up in the rotation that you see, and some some are not. But again, you can't pressure yourself, especially if you're a content creator, to sit there and go, I gotta get this up on the screen. I gotta get that up on the screen. Sometimes I go through a game and playing offline and go, will the stream at all? It's like, no, this isn't going to work at all. There's no way I can kind of do this and make it so you out there are going to want to watch it. There's a limited appeal to standing over someone's shoulder. Wow, that was quick. And watching someone throw dice and reading cards. If you're into gaming, you're probably going to do that. You're going to watch for a little bit or interested in having the final result. But for the most part, it doesn't make for compelling things. And again, you're pulling yourself into whatever your escape is. Again, it's just like reading a book or vegging out because you're using your imagination, and that doesn't necessarily transfer well sometimes to YouTube or Twitch or even the Delphi boards if that's your thing. But it's also very personal. If something happens and you don't like it, look, if you're playing offline and you're down 11-0 in the second inning, it's okay to rage quit. There's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. But if you're streaming it, then you gotta grit your teeth. So what do I choose to show? I choose to show things that I think are going to be compelling and tell a good story by using games that allow me to do that and interact with my audience. And what do I choose to do for my own personal gaming? Pretty much anything else outside of that. Some of it's on the computer based, some of it is virtual cards and dice, and some of it's just on Excel. COVID's fun for trying to think of words, okay? Excel spreadsheets that I just play for myself. Again, it's your own satisfaction that you're playing for. And the numbers for that don't matter. What matters is that you learned something and you had fun with it. And if you want to turn it into something that you share after a while, great. Nothing wrong with that. But remember, you're playing for yourself. And on camera, you're playing to share something. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. The next video we're going to do is I'm going to show you some Strat basketball cards. And we'll tell you how to read one. And I bought 61, 62 for Strat. I didn't take advantage of the sale because I liked the version of the game that I had. But, there's some monster cards that I think you'll want to see. Thanks again for all the well wishes and stuff as my wife and I mend from COVID. It does mean a great deal. And so if you got something else you want me to throw together for you this week while we try to recover from all this, just give me a shout and we'll see what we can do to get it out. Have a great day, everybody. So long.